Who we are, who we were, and who we're destined to become are all reflections of the stories we tell, of gods and devils, from tales of the heart to those of fear and foreboding. Stories shape us and the world we live in. Myths, folk tales, and even religious parables all define our cultures and beliefs. In each episode of Faith and Fear, we will dip our toes into the comparative narratives spanning the globe, considering the concepts and archetypes common to us all. Enle, Shalom and Prazir. Hello and peace. It's a pleasure. Thanks for following me down the rabbit hole once again on my journey to better understand the stories and beliefs that shape us. The world is full of magic things, patiently waiting for our senses to grow sharper. W.B. Yeats. Welcome back. I honestly missed you guys, and for a moment I was worried I scared you off. I know the subjects of religion and spirituality are heavy ones. When you add in the concept of magic, sometimes it can be a powder keg. But since you've returned to spend a little time with me again, I'm going to assume you're the type of people interested in opening your mind and expanding your horizons. I like that about you. This week, I want to continue our discussion about magic and ritual. Even though I'm doing this subject in two parts, there will still be a lot left uncovered afterwards. So we'll have something to go back to in more detail at a later date. When we talk about belief systems, especially in the present sense, we run the risk of stepping on toes. As in last week's episode, I want to reiterate that I'm not intending to be disrespectful or antagonistic in any way. My intent is to look at these practices objectively and discuss the similarities in order to promote understanding and tolerance. Spirituality, magic, ritual, they go back pretty much as far as humans have been self-aware. Whether you agree in the need for such beliefs or belief in a higher power at all, they remain significant aspects of community and culture. They shape not only our worldview, but our sense of self and personal identity as well. Originating in Europe, the Cunning Folk were healers, midwives, diviners, and all-around practitioners of folk medicine and magic, often within the context of 15th century Europe. They took care of their local communities and on occasion even traveled various distances to those in great need of their aid. These skilled specialists are believed to be the precursor to magic traditions practiced today, and perhaps their curative techniques served as a huge influence for modern medicine, bridging the gap between magic and science. Though you might think they would be considered witches, they would likely be more akin to Christian magicians, evoking the names of God and drawing from their Christian beliefs to fuel their magic. To them, magic was a tool to help others and to carry out God's will. Sometimes referred to as the Old Religion, Stregheria is a Southern European Italian form of witchcraft heavily influenced by Catholicism. It is in some ways similar to Wicca, but in other ways very different, being a neo-pagan system that draws from folk practices of medieval Italy. Author Raven Grimassi blended together aspects of Gardnerian Wicca and ideas he drew from Charles G. Leland's book, Aradia, to develop his Iridian tradition, a dualistic system centered around a pair of deities viewed to be lovers. Stregheria refers to what is believed to be a more malevolent magic practice, one that uses charm bags and black magic to produce harm or illness. Folk religions were common in rural and urban Japan. One of the most significant, Japanese Shinto, is still being practiced today. Shinto, the way of the kami, is a polytheistic nature religion that revolves around spiritual beings or kami, said to live in all things. Some consider it to also be animistic, both inanimate and animate objects containing a spiritual essence. Priests, known as Kanushi, ensure that proper offerings are given to the specific kami located at their shrine. This promotes harmony between humans and kami in order to implore said deity's blessings. Shinto is a heavily ritualized belief system that uses aesthetic elements such as worship area, ritual tools or props, the priest's wardrobe, and even the use of language, all to please the kami. Among Shinto rituals are Jikanasi, pre-construction ceremonies to purify the ground, and Norito, ritual prayers recited by a priest on behalf of worshippers to the kami during formal ceremonies. Typical Shinto rituals generally include purification, adoration, opening of the sanctuary, the presentation of food offerings excluding meat, prayers, music and dance, symbolic offerings, removal of offerings, closing of the sanctuary, and final adoration, followed by an optional sermon and a ceremonial meal. Onmyodo, based on the Chinese philosophies of yin yang and wuxing, the five elements or phases. Onmyodo blends natural science and occultism to form this traditional esoteric Japanese cosmology. An accepted system of divination before eventually being prohibited as superstition, Onmyodo was influenced by Taoism, Buddhism, and Shintoism before evolving into the system under the control of the imperial government. Onmyoji were civil servants and professional practitioners of Onmyodo who belonged to the Bureau of Onmyo of ancient Japan. Their highest duty was to protect the capital from evil spirits as specialists in magic and divination. Today, Onmyoji are known as priests. Though still viewed as occult figures, many consider themselves simple mediums and spiritualists. Wuism is considered to be a Chinese wisdom tradition connecting practitioners to ancient shamanistic folk religions of China. Developed as part of the aspiration towards the status of holy man, Wu has influenced various ritual systems, including Taoism. This shamanistic practice is based on the belief that spirits can be influenced to aid in healing, divination, hunting, and even toward providing good luck. Practitioners often consist of tribal priests, male shamans who inherited their positions by birth, then trained in secret esoteric practices, and female shamans who focus more on healing practices and herbal medicine, and who serve as mediums. West African Voodoo is the origin of many religions born among the African diaspora. Contrary to negative depictions in popular media, it is a highly spiritual system that revolves around the voodoo spirits, aspects of the divine that oversee all facets of nature and human life. Its hierarchy consists of major deities that rule over the elements and greater forces of nature, to lesser spirits that govern specific bodies of water, plants, stones, and the like. In many ways, these voodoo spirits are akin to angels and Catholic saints, which has resulted in the blending of the two belief systems in many places. Voodoo literally means spirit. Practitioners are known for the strong veneration of their ancestors and for honoring the spirits of the deceased, believing they continue to live alongside the living. Each family of spirits is said to have its own female priesthood, with the first daughter of the matriarchal line serving as the Queen Mother. It is she who leads significant ceremonies and performs rituals like holy unions, baptisms, and funerals. Haitian Voodoo, of course, developed in Haiti, arising from the combination of Roman Catholicism and traditional West African beliefs. Practitioners view themselves to be servants of the spirits, or Loa. The Loa are the sacred deities who serve as intermediaries between the supreme god and humankind. Rituals typically involve drumming, singing, and dancing, with the intent being to evoke a loa to ride a willing participant. This process of induced possession is believed to allow the individual to speak with the loa directly. Rituals may include healing and the creation of charms or herbal remedies, as well as divination meant to interpret messages from the loa. Many Haitian voodooists continue these practices alongside their Roman Catholic beliefs. Hoodoo is a southern blend of traditional African practices, Christianity, and Native American beliefs combined with the influences of slavery and poverty. Hoodoo is considered a folk religion and spiritual practice heavily fueled by reverence of one's ancestors, herbalism, and esoteric wisdom. Originally a remnant of power shielded and kept secret from slaveholders, Hoodoo mixed several systems and traditions, with one of its key aspects being its existence as a folk practice for the underdog. Shamanism generally involves a practitioner using techniques meant to induce altered states of consciousness in order to interact with the spiritual world. The goal of the shaman is to influence and direct the spirits they interact with and to use these spiritual energies to affect the physical world. A somewhat generalized term, shamanistic practices have been studied by various scientists and scholars all over the world. They are believed to receive their calling via dreams or signs, though sometimes it's viewed to be inherited. One of the main differences between shamans and other magic or spiritualist practitioners is the techniques being used, one of these being to contact the spirit world with an altered state of consciousness for either themselves or others. Still, shamanism is a global practice with common beliefs being the existence of spirits and their part in the lives of humanity, the ability of the shaman to communicate with these spirits and to cross over into the spirit world. Shamans serve as healers, curing illness brought on by malevolent spirits, perform divinations, and communicate with spirit guides and messengers. Rituals typically use trances and herbs to induce the altered state of consciousness needed. Brujeria is viewed as a Latin American form of witchcraft and occultism, heavily drawing from aspects of Catholicism, native religions, and European magic practices. Santeria is an Afro-Cuban folk religion born of the African diaspora and developed in Cuba. Blending traditional West African Yoruba beliefs and practices with Roman Catholicism, this religion is considered polytheistic, honoring multiple deities known as the Orisha, a blend of the Yoruban gods with Roman Catholic saints, who are subservient to a supreme creator god. How Santeria is practiced varies, and like many of these systems, there is no governing body. Similar to voodoo, adherents believe that there is a supreme deity unreachable by humans. The Orisha, more akin to saints than actual gods per se, vary greatly. While some existed long before humanity, others were once believed to be humans themselves. Some are more benevolent than others, and their personalities differ just as ours do. The goal of believers is to develop a mutual, reciprocal relationship with the Orisha, pleasing them in order to earn their favor. The Orisha personify different aspects of our world existing in their own realm, with their own manifestations similar to the Hindu belief in avatars. Practices include honoring one's ancestors and the spirits of the dead, and that through offerings and prayers one can help some of their personal spirits to evolve. Rituals can be extremely complex, involving song, dance, possession, and much more. The focus of these rituals typically being on aspects of everyday life. Curanderos are traditional native healers and shamans of Latin America, dedicated to the health and well-being of their community. Their duties cover maintaining not only the spiritual health of those under their care, but the mental, emotional, and physical health as well. Curanderos are known to take on the role of psychiatrist and doctor, using simple herbs and natural ingredients to remedy illnesses and effect curses. Some utilize Catholic elements and symbolism, incorporating holy water, using prayers, and evoking saints as part of their methods. Others synchronize their native spirits with their Roman Catholic ideology, serving as emissaries with supernatural power, ridding the people of malevolent entities and acting as instruments of God. Lastly, I want to mention the concept of syncretism, which is the blending of different beliefs and practices from different religions. This occurs when one belief system assimilates another and is commonly seen in areas where the native religion is overtaken by a new one. We see this with many of the traditions in the African diaspora, Ireland, indigenous tribes of the Americas, and many others. In this way, traditional beliefs are kept alive by fusing some original aspects with more dominant new ones. Another dense conversation, and again, we've only scratched the surface. When it comes down to it, all of these beliefs and practices have several things in common. The primary focus typically being to honor or gain a greater understanding of and connection to divinity. People also want to gain some control over their lives and the direction they're heading in, hence divination practices and even simple prayer. Simple, but an effective ritual nevertheless. Then, of course, there's healing and herbalism for health, and from the elaborate to the sparse, rituals come in all shapes and sizes, with as many faces, because everyone wants to believe they can affect change in the world around them, to impose their will on the universe. For some, that's serving a higher power, and for others, it's finding your own truth. Next week, we will be talking about, well, I think I'll let that be a surprise for all of us. Until then, Assalamu alaikum and namaste. Peace be with you until we meet again. Thanks for listening to me as I've nerded out about stories and beliefs. Join me next week as I journey down the rabbit hole once again by subscribing and listening wherever podcasts are available. Who knows? Maybe then we'll be one step closer to glimpsing the true nature of faith and fear. Music for this podcast is brought to you by Delo 1954X and Toby Lane from Pixabay.com.